Parents of Reddit, why are you disappointed in your adult child? I'm not disappointed in my 18-year-old. But I sure wish I knew how to activate him. He graduated in May. Has no desire to go to college and no real aspirations at all. He's pretty much been in his room on his phone since. He's struggled for many years with anxiety, which we're treating. And I know a lot of things are difficult for him. But man, I wish I knew how to get him excited about something, anything, whether it's a job or a hobby or a plan or whatever. At 18, I was exactly the same. Didn't really care about anything. Certainly didn't feel like an adult. I'm just shy of 23 now. And I did come out of it. Slowly and painfully. At the same time. Not everyone I know did. Some of my friends are in exactly the same place they were at the end of high school. Except that they go to a job instead of school. So you can't just sit back and hope he figures it out either. I'd suggest helping him cultivate a healthy personal life more so than pushing him to start making money honestly. Hobbies are a great help. Especially if they push him to be a little more social. I spent absurd amounts of time as a teen holed up in my room with my guitar. And that skill eventually led to me branching out and meeting people at jam sessions. No drive. No ambition. And no work ethic worth a damn. He's 25. He peaked in 6th grade. Hi mom. My mum's disappointed that I left a £33,000 a year job for a £28,000 job because I had 2 mental breakdowns. Even though everything is now perfect. Sometimes we just have to get on with it. Your mental health is worth way more than £5,000 a year. As long as you have enough to get by. You made the right call. I'm disappointed in my son because he is too much like me. He's a solid introvert who is afraid to ask for help and doesn't want to bother people, even with very legitimate requests. He is an expert procrastinator. I remember being that age and being so much like that. I'm not sure how I got through university. But I've been a successful engineer for 30 years, so I've still got a lot of hope for him. Also, both my kids vape smoke. We've been anti-smokers for all our adult lives and I'm sad to see them choose to do something negative like that. They both want to quit, but it's a tough road. He isn't even looking for a job or to get out of the house. He just eats my food without paying a penny and watches TV or plays all day. 2-year-olds are so entitled. My mom is extremely disappointed with me because I'm not having kids. It was my sole purpose in life. Good for you. I ended up with kids. But after 7 years of getting to know and enjoy being with my wife, I fully support anyone who doesn't want kids. It's important to be you for you and not someone else. My son is 25 and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at around 15 years old, maybe younger. After he became too old and too big for me to manage his meds, he refused to take them and his life has been a roller coaster of disasters ever since. Between prison time, juvie and adult. Bad decisions. Suicidal ideation. Drug use. Fathering 2 children he doesn't see, same mom. And insisting on making up reasons to not speak to me. I'm done. Because honestly there's nothing I can do for him. At this point I'm just waiting to get a phone call on where I need to go to identify the body. He is in prison for life. My parents are disappointed in me because I won't pretend I wasn't damaged from their abuse. My dad does this annoying thing where he acts clueless as to why his kids are weird or why we don't talk to him like a normal child would. IDK man. Maybe being beaten and berated for your whole childhood makes you weird. My ex-husband was the son that my parents wanted their actual son to be. So they're pissed that my brother isn't like him and they're pissed that I divorced him. Double whammy. Never mind that we just fundamentally did not work as a couple. They basically see it as me stealing away their chance at having the perfect child in a son-in-law. Oh well. What made him so special? He has a really nice job and he's generally just a very outgoing person. Total extrovert. My brother and I don't have the personalities to sit and chat up everyone at the family reunion for 6 straight hours like the ex does. I have a nice job, but not like everyone who's when they hear it nice. And my brother's gone through a lot of shit and is really struggling, so they have very little exciting news about him to share with their friends. Because they are now 30. Still in my basement. And looking at shit I feel is gonna bring the feds to my house soon. He got a $200,000 inheritance when his father passed away 2 years ago. He is broke now. Did he do any good with the money? Any assets to show for it? Any chance there was a Montgomery Brewster style clause in the will? He put $80,000 on a down payment on a house. And the rest in stocks which he lost. I'm still not sure what my parents think of me. I was the promised child who got 99th percentile on aptitude tests in kindergarten. These tests. Memorized the presidents by age 4, at my dad's insistence. And ended up just blundering my way through school because what started as a bad habit of not doing homework eventually amalgamated into depression-driven apathy about education. I dropped out of college and I've spent more of my time in therapy learning how to be a good person and be happy. Which does make my mom happy. But I can feel my entire extended family's disappointment in me that I chose to work an 8-5 job and just live in an apartment with my cat. On the bright side, I'm more confident in my life choices than I ever have been and wouldn't trade the positive mindset I've been working so hard on for any amount of work discipline. My mom held getting a degree as one of the pinnacle achievements you can do because it was such a big deal to her going back to school and getting her degree in her 40s. As someone who works in it, I dropped out about a year into school and haven't looked back. That was 10 years ago. I hid that I dropped out for many years before I actually told her. She was disappointed. But in my opinion, the astronomical cost of a degree does not have a good ROI. And in it, I've worked up to a very high salary level without one. Certifications. Mentors. Learning on the job and at home. To me, a 4-year degree doesn't make much logical sense in a fast-moving field like this one. My son is 24 and, by some standards, a disappointment. He has a degree and no job. He struggles with motivation. And his sleep patterns are terrible. I don't think he has a plan to move forward with his life. Earlier in the year, my husband, his dad, was diagnosed with cancer. I thank God every day for my slacker son. He is so kind. Every time he makes dinner because I know you must be tired or comes and gives me a hug when I get home from work makes it possible for me to keep going. I'm in my 30s and unmarried. My mum worries every time I take solo holidays. I'm sure she wishes I had a husband to go along. I'm in my 30s and now my parents are afraid I'm gay because I haven't brought a girl home to meet them in so long. In reality, while I rarely date, I'd be embarrassed to expose a girlfriend to their bigotry, so they'll very likely never meet anyone again. He's 20 and refuses to go to college or get a job. He lives with his mom. So all I can do is talk to him about it. I fear for his future. Like, we, his parents, aren't immortal and he doesn't seem to have self-preservation skills. I took an easy job. They had high expectations and pushed hard for me to be the best of the best at everything I can but won't if I'm not forced. Having no work-related pressure or stress is much nicer for me, but I'm somewhat poor and relatively uninfluential. I'm not. Life is hard and she had dealt with a lot. She may not be fully independent yet, but she's working on it. I see her effort and I'm proud of her for it. Maybe I could be disappointed she didn't do more stupid stuff when she was young. But I'm just glad she didn't end up like me. Eater, I'm not in a bad place now. But I'm sure as hell lucky to have gotten here and not ended up dead in a ditch somewhere. Not a parent but the child. My parents are disappointed in me because I basically failed out of college, UK, after demonstrating time and time again that I lack the direction, drive, foresight, and discipline to do well on my A-levels. My results came back today, Ed, and they are seriously pissed off. We'll be having a long discussion on my plan going forwards. But I can tell they've lost their faith in me. I can't blame them. I don't have faith in me either. I can elaborate if anyone cares. But I think I'll leave it here for now. OHH, good timing. I have to be semi-vague, but hopefully you get the gist. My middle daughter is 19, but we've had issues her entire life. I strongly suspect BPD narcissism. Currently her infant child has been removed from her care by CPS for multiple reasons, notably her erratic behavior she showed and continues to show, and also heavy marijuana use. We suspect other drugs at play but have zero proof. Instead of cooperating to get her child back, she has fought kicking and screaming every step of the way, making it much harder than necessary. At the same time blaming her mother and vilifying her to the point that she has lied to CPS in an attempt to have them remove her 4-year-old sister from her mother's care. Calling old friends and family, giving them a hugely false story in an attempt to alienate her mother and have zero friends and help. It's a giant mess she's created and refuses to take any blame or acknowledge that she's the issue at all. He's 42. Lives with his dad. Is 6 years into a 2-year degree. And has gone through 4 decent cars in the last 6 months. His dad bought the cars and he trashed them. He's also threatened physical abuse to his dad. He disowned his older sister over a political argument on Facebook. She said, "I'm leaving this discussion before we say things we'll regret." And he tried to forbid it, saying if she left she was disrespecting him and was no longer related to him. My son always viewed me only as a milking cow. He doesn't care about anything but his own happiness and even refuses to talk to me. If it's still like this when he turns 2, I'm done with the entire affair. My son is 23. He is fat, unmotivated, and lazy. He's approaching his 6th year of university and it looks like he still has 2-3 more years to go. He is working at a dead-end job with no benefits and refuses to leave. He is constantly spending all his time and money on video games and drugs. Every time I see him at home, he's either on his computer playing games, on the couch watching TV eating Cheetos, or high as a kite. He is literally wasting his life away, but it seems like he doesn't realize how bad it is getting. He doesn't have much friends, only a few druggies, and has never been in a relationship. I think he's an incel. It worries me that if he keeps this up, he'll end up a sad, pathetic loser. I have tried many times to have him clean up his life, but he doesn't listen. I am disappointed. This thread just sent me spiraling down the depression rabbit hole and makes me never want to show up to another family function again. Sincerely, someone else's disappointment. Pathological liar. 33 years old and he would rather walk 10 miles to tell a lie than to stand still and tell the truth. His ex-wives all found out the same thing.